The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Redmond, Washington, on your new apparatus, job number 29280. Please utilize this job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting in the front bumper, you have 2 electronic sirens. Moving to the driver's side, there is a mechanical siren. Moving just to the right of that, on the driver's side, there is an air horn. Looking from the bottom section of the front bumper, there are 2 tow hooks located on the front bumper or attachment points. Moving to the very center, you can see there is a front-mounted hitch, standard 2-inch by 2-inch attachment. Let's move up onto the body. There are right and left turn indicators. Moving to the inside in the headlight cluster, the outer lights are your low beams, and moving to the inside of the headlight cluster are the high beams. Moving up just from that location, these are warning lights. Moving to the very top, you have at the brow 5 marker lights. Moving up to the very top at a 45-degree angle, you have 2 on each side warning lights. Also on the front bumper on the side, there is a warning light, and just beneath that, the standard 2-inch attachment point. Let's take a general look at the underneath section of your cab. As you can see, this bar runs through the entire front bumper area. These are the 2 attachment points, in addition with an attachment point that's forward facing. Once again, standard 2 by 2-inch attachment points, and there is information on the load capacities. There are 2 tow hooks located in this area here, or attachment points. Additional information located here on the specifications of the attachment points on both the right and left side. Moving up from that location, this is going to be a warning light, equally distanced on each right and left-hand side of the front bumper. Generalized view of the headlight cluster, emergency lights, and turn indicator. There is also mounted just behind the grille additional warning lights here. To access the hood, just underneath the Pierce logo is where the latch is located. Once the latch is depressed, this will gain access under the hood. Let's start over on the passenger side. Located in the passenger side far left-hand corner here, this is going to be your fill location for your windshield wipers. Moving down just of that location, both on the right and left side, this is going to be an air intake filter. Moving to the right, this is going to be your coolant. As we continue moving over to the right-hand side or the driver's side, this is going to be a red quarter-turn switch for either lifting or lowering the cab. Moving over to the yellow, which has the coiled electrical line, this is going to be a push button on-off for raising and lowering the cab. This is also instructions mounted on the firewall here for raising and lowering the cab, and the instructions on how to do that. We'll take a couple of generalized views of the side of the apparatus on both the right and left side just for general purposes, and then we'll drill down into a little bit more of the specifications and components within your apparatus. Let's go ahead and start at the very top here, your front bucket. On the bucket itself, you can see there are 4 rubber stoppers here, in addition with 2 attachment points. You can see mounted in the right and left-hand side, floodlights located from under the cab, in addition with a drain, under bucket sprinkler, moving up to the top, there are also running lights located on the front of the bucket. You have 3 emergency or warning lights located at the very top. Moving just up from there, this is a 2.5, which is reduced down to 1.5 discharge port, both right and left-hand side. And at the very top, your master stream device. Moving all the way up to the very top on the right-hand side here, this is going to be the location of your Opticom. Let's go ahead and take a look at the cab. You have chosen convex mirrors at the very top and a flat mirror at the bottom. This is going to be your go light. There's one on the right and on the left-hand side, controlled from within inside the cab. At the very top, this is going to be an overload or warning light. Side-mounted scene lights are located at the very top of the cab. There are also two warning lights in this location, one at the top and one just mid-cab. Generalized view, we're going to talk about some of the components here. Your vehicle is equipped with a TAC-4 suspension, in addition with a shoreline inlet. This is an auto eject inline. This is your auto charger, which gives you information as to your battery status and charging when it's plugged in. This is your Stemco hub visual indicator. Looking at the top of the body, you have right and left-hand side scene lights. At the very top in the rear section, this is going to be an emergency or warning light. Looking at the lower section of the cab, this is going to be a compartment just underneath the warning light and the mid-cab light. As we move further onto the body of the apparatus, we'll take a look inside this compartment. Before we do that though, let's look underneath the compartment. Starting on the left, this is going to be your water fill. Moving just to the right of that is your overflow bleeder. And moving further right to that is going to be your agent tank drain. And all the way to the very far right, this is going to be a discharge drain. We're going to now move to the main section of your apparatus, which is going to house the compartments. You can see this compartment here, roll-up door. In this roll-up door, there are two pull-out shelves, in addition with some components on the left-hand side, which we'll talk about. First, let's talk a little bit about the foam level on your left-hand side in red. Just to the right of that, you're going to find information on how the foam system is linked through your entire apparatus. Let's go back. This is on the face. This is your foam level indicator. Moving down from that location, this is going to be your foam discharge, and you can see that this is an electronic discharge valve. Let's move down to the further section here. This is your agent tank pressure. As we move to the right, this is your foam system activation switch. As we move down further at the gauge, this is going to be your regulated pressure. And moving over to the right-hand side, this is going to be your pressure regulating unit. Moving down at the very bottom, this is your air bottle pressure. And moving over to the very far right-hand side, this is going to be your air bottle bleed. And this is a simply open, turn right, close, turn left. You can see that this is the bottom shelf, which is a full pull-out shelf. It does not tilt, versus the one on the very top does pull out and tilt downward. As you can see here, we've got all four of the stabilizers just partially out. These are not fully extended. This is just for demonstration purposes to show the location of each of those. Just above the stabilizer in the front, you're going to find a very small compartment. In that small compartment, this houses your 200-foot electrical cord and junction box. Just beneath that, you'll find the push button for the rewind of that electrical cord. And just to the right of that, on the actual outrigger or stabilizer, you'll find a warning light. This is going to be the compartment that's just past the stabilizer. Let's take a look at some of the components. At the very top, this is your start-stop for your generator. Moving down to the next switch here, this is going to be your APU system disable, and you'll see there is a green indicator light on that. Moving up to the top, this is the breaker box for your G1, which is the generator 1 panel. Turn off all the breakers before stopping the generator. It reduces the load and creates or causes less damage. These are your generator starting instructions on the outside of the electrical box. At the very top, you can see that there is a warning label, but take a look underneath at those individual breaker locations. Once again, turn off all the breakers before stopping the generator. It is helpful. Let's go ahead and take a look just to the right of that. This is going to be your generator information regarding your voltage and amperage. And as we move down underneath this compartment, these are going to be your folding wheel chocks. Generalized view of the tandem axle. We'll talk about the compartments just above those. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, this is going to be your diesel exhaust fluid for DEF fill location. It's the blue cap. Moving in between the two wheels, you have two SCBA or bottle storage locations. Moving to the very back set of the tandem axle, you'll find your diesel low sulfur fuel fill, and just behind that, an additional bottle storage or SCBA storage. Let's take a look at this roll-up horizontal compartment. Inside, pull-out shelf that folds out and downward for accessing tools. Looking just a little bit to the further back on the very top, this is going to be a fixed movable floodlight. Looking just under that floodlight in this horizontal compartment, once the compartment door is open, you can see that it has the ability to have adjustable shelving inside. Looking at the very rear section of this compartment, you have adjustable shelving which has illumination in it. Moving further to the very back section, this is going to be your ladder in addition with your rear stabilizer. To gain access to that ladder, simply grab a hold of the crossbar located here, lift, and this will allow your ladder to be moved into the outward or usable position. Just inside of that, this is going to be a leveling device for the vehicle's front to rear ratio as far as how it is leveled. This is going to be your pedestal. At the very top, you can see there is a speaker on the top. This is part of your intercom. As we look at that intercom in itself, you have a mushroom switch on the left-hand side, which is an emergency stop. Moving on the left-hand side, this is going to be your capacities for utilizing your aerial device while water is flowing and for loads. On the right-hand side of that, you're going to find some warning and danger labels. And at the very bottom here on the face, this is going to be a warning speaker or audible alarm. This is going to be on the passenger side on the very top. This is your hose storage. Just inside from that, under the ladder, this is going to be your tank for the agent. Moving to the tip, this is the emergency stop button in red. Also moving to the right and left-hand side, you have two personal attachment points. Generalized view of the rear of the apparatus. We'll dig into some of those components in the next set of images. Let's start with the lower section down here in this cluster. This houses an emergency, turn, brake, and reverse. Just above from that, you have a warning light or emergency light. Just up from that, there is a switch, controls the rear floodlight. And just up from that location, this is going to be your license plate light and attachment point. Let's go ahead and move further down to those attachment points. These are two closed hooks. They are for towing and also as attachment points. Moving upward, this is going to be your information behind this panel for your stabilizers, including your remote control. At the very top, you have a hose compartment. Let's go ahead and look a little bit closer at the rear section here. This is your rear-facing camera. Just inside of that is a rear-facing floodlight. And to the right-hand side here is a danger label regarding the use of your aerial apparatus with electricity. Back to the rear floodlight. This is the control for that. Activates the rear flood. And let's go ahead and look just at the rear section here. This is going to be your stabilizer compartment. When you open the door of the stabilizer compartment, you'll find this handheld device that controls the front and rear stabilizers. This is also the location of your diagnostic port. This is also the location of an indicator and stabilizer power is on. You also have a red covered switch here in case you need an override. And there is also an indicator light for that. On the very right hand side here in red, this is your emergency stop. Looking just a little bit closer at that compartment that runs forward for hose storage. Just above the rear bumper, you're going to find two attachment points rear facing. These are closed hooks. Moving to the inside is your level meter. Moving just to the access door to the right, this is the location behind this door for your aerial drain. Moving up to the gauge, this is going to be your inlet gauge. Moving to the very back section here, This is your large diameter intake for the aerial. Looking underneath, these are going to be your stabilizer aerial pads. Generalized view looking at your compartment where your ladders are stored. On the left-hand side, you're going to have a 35-foot 2-section, a 20-foot roof, and a 28-foot 2-section. Just above that, you'll have 3 hooks. On the right side, you'll have a 28-foot 2-section, a 16-foot roof, a 35-foot 2-section, and also 3 hooks. The hooks are not shown in this, but in the next image, I'll have an image of those. There's your 3 hooks on the left. Mirrors the exact same thing on the right-hand side for your hook location. Let's go ahead and look at the very center just above this compartment. This is your backup camera. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find a rear flood. The compartment door that's open now is for large diameter hose storage. Generalized view of the passenger side of your vehicle. We'll start now with the very back section here. Same as the opposite side. To release the ladder, pull the lever, allows the ladder to come down in this usable position. Located in the ladder spaces between, you'll find a small compartment. This is where you access for your emergency aerial and also stabilizer controls. You can see that there is an aerial emergency power and the stabilizer power. Just beneath that will be the levers to control your stabilizers for the rear and for the front. This is going to be your stabilizer. There are stabilizer pads located just in front of this. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the compartments on this side of the apparatus. This compartment here houses an adjustable shelf. Moving forward of this location, you'll see the various compartments on this side. Absent the fill locations for diesel and DEF, this mirrors the other side completely. You have bottle storage here to the rear. Moving forward, you have additional bottle storage here with the compartment just under the center area. You also have straps for safety to hold those bottles in case they become ajar while in movement. Moving just forward of that location, you'll find a danger sticker. That information is regarding electrical current. Just in front of that, you'll find additional bottle storage in this location. As we move under this area for the exhaust, you'll see the label on the top, which is a warning label regarding parking next to things that could be flammable. Looking in this horizontal compartment here, as we look inside, there are no current shelves in this compartment. But let's take a look at the longer horizontal compartment here that has the roll-up door. As we open this compartment door, you'll find a pegboard that opens up. Once this has been into the open position, you can put tools on both the right and left-hand side or inner and outer side of this, and that pegboard is adjustable. Moving forward to the tall vertical compartment, which is next. This compartment houses a fixed shelf on the top, which is adjustable, and on the very bottom, a pull-out shelf. Next in line is going to be your stabilizer with a warning light, and just above that, an additional compartment at the very top. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the items that are in this large vertical compartment here. This compartment houses the through shelves in addition with a pull-out and pull-down shelf, long pull-out shelf, and I've got some image of those next. Once this is in the pulled and outward downward position, please be cautious that tools may have become dislodged while in transport and could fall out. In this compartment also, this is the mechanism that allows you to restore the shelf back to its stored position by simply pushing that tab inward. On the bottom section here, this has a 1.5 inch foam water discharge pointing downward to the location where you can house additional folded hose. There is a top webbing portion that holds that hose into place. Once the compartment is open, remove that webbing and you gain access to that hose. As we look at the cab, there is a small compartment down in this area just above the mid-cab light and the warning light, and at the very top, once again, a warning light, side light, located just a further up for that on a floodlight. Let's go ahead and look as a general purpose of the cab here. You can see you have your 1/6 for your lettering, in addition with your Redmond Fire logo on the front door. Looking down at the very bottom, you have 2 illuminated steps. This is that smaller compartment in the very rear section of the actual cab. Looking at this, we'll start now going through the inside of the cab and some of the components with inside the cab. Let's first start with the driver's side door area. At the very top, there is an important inspection label here. Moving down, there are additional seatbelt information, warning labels, and danger labels in this area. Each one of the doors has these labels and they are not to be removed. This is the controls for your electronic windows. Down at the very bottom is the step area. This is your air shutoff and air outlet. Just in front of that was a step light. Just inside the cab at about the operator's foot level, there is a warning and caution label in addition with this yellow placard. On the yellow placard from Pierce Manufacturing, this provides you with your August 2016 date of manufacture, your job number. Moving down from that, your gross vehicle weight rating. And moving further down from that, this is going to be your vehicle VIN number, which is also located on the A pillar. This is also information regarding fluid capacities with the types and the amount of fluid for each of those components. Generalized view looking into the operator's seat. You can see once again those seat belts are red in color so that they're very distinguishable whether the individual has them on or off. In the front seat, you have a variety of different controls for up and down, forward and backwards. These are all of the controls located there. Located here at the foot level is your air horn and mechanical siren foot pegs. This is on the dash area. Just under the steering column is your command zone, your engine ABS diagnostic port, and in the gray cap here, the SRS transmission diagnostic port. Just beneath that is going to be your regen inhibit and DPF regen. Up on the top here, this is going to be your battery on-off for master. In addition, you have a fuel prime. On the opposite side of the steering column on the right, this is your interaxle differential lock and unlock mechanism. This is going to be on the column itself, right and left turn, in addition with windshield, high and low beam. On the dash itself, you have an emergency master, your headlights for on and off, and you also have a panel rocker. On the column itself, which I didn't mention earlier, this is your push for telescoping the column and pull to tilt the column. Moving up on to the left-hand side of the dash, this is your ignition. Moving up from that, this is going to be your starter switch. And moving up from that, this is going to be your hazard lights. Let's go ahead and take a look on the far right-hand side. This is an OK for high idle indicator and the actual high idle switch. General view of your dash. We'll get into the components of the dash next. Starting with the left-hand side, you have your transmission temp, oil pressure, DEF level, water, and RPM or tachometer. Moving on to the right-hand side of the cluster, you're going to have your miles per hour speedometer, your volts, front air, rear air, and your fuel, in addition with your trip reset button here on the right just under the ultra low sulfur diesel fuel only sign. Generalized view, when the ignition is turned on, all your lights will illuminate. Down at the very bottom, this gives you information on temperature and trip hours and mileage. On the right hand side, you can see the adjustment for resetting of those hours and tripometer. On the right hand side, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the components here. This is your brake, in addition with your Pierce Information Center. In the yellow is your main service brake. This is what utilized to park the vehicle. This applies the rear brakes. This is going to be your Pierce Command Center. This gives you information on a variety of different things that are also located on the dash. This is going to be your Allison transmission pad. Moving to the right of that, this is going to be a general view for a variety of different switches. We'll talk about those switches next. Front wheel lock, aerial master, aerial PTO, platform leveling, APU system disable, APU system activated, a future location for a switch, and your load manager. Moving under this section of switches, you'll find your off-road traction devices, your engine brake on-off switch, and then the setting for your engine brake, high, medium, or low. The differential lock, in addition with heat for your mirrors, and also the start-stop for the generator. Moving to the right, at the very top, are your generator settings for starting. And just beneath that, this is going to be your go light. There is an on-off switch, which indicates it's on in red. And then to the left, this is your control button. Moving to the top, once again, this is your generator starting information placard. It's indicating to hold for 10 to 30 seconds, depending upon the temperature outside. And then go ahead and start the preheat and start position from that point. At the very top, you can see your mirror control for left and right mirrors, flat and convex mirrors. Let's go ahead and take just a generalized view here of the cluster of switches and gauges in the center, just to familiarize where things are located. We'll now start at the very top section where your climate control is located. This is going to be your main unit radio. This is a Motorola radio. Just in front of that radio is going to be your Pierce Climate Control Center for heat, air conditioning. Let's go ahead and look overhead of the operator. I want to direct you to the very top, and let's talk about first, this is a light that is downward shining, as in a map light. It's a very focused beam, but more importantly, I'd like to look at this yellow tab or yellow placard. This placard is on the far left-hand side. It gives you information on your height of your vehicle, 12 feet 2.5 inches, length at 47.65, and your gross vehicle weight rating at 41 tons, in addition with your job number. Moving to the right of that placard, you have your emergency master, a roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear, upper rear warnings, in addition with high beam, and also your Opticom activation. Moving to the right of that location, this is going to be your siren brake, a future location for a switch, your perimeter lights in green, your Opticom momentary activation, your bucket flood, driver side passenger flood, and rear flood. This is going to be your electronic siren. Overhead, you have 2 pull cords for your air horns, and just a generalized view of this location. I would like to direct you to the very center. This red light is activated when there is a compartment ajar, indicating not to move the apparatus. This is going to be your additional siren and PA control center. Looking from the outside in the rear section, looking inward, you can see on the right-hand side, this is going to be a compartment. There are 2 adjustable shelves. This is illuminated in this compartment. Located on the floor is an access panel. This will gain access once it's open to the batteries. Just next to that is a fixed charging station for an LED portable light. Moving up from this location, there are 2 forward-facing SCBA mounted seats. Looking at the top overhead, there are 4 on-off red or white lights. In the center, there is an access door. This access door gains you the ability to check fluids for oil and transmission. It is also an illuminated compartment. As you can see, these are the 2 forward-facing Zyco SCBA seats. At the very top in the center is your David Clark headset center. Looking at the passenger side door, once again, there is information regarding warning about seatbelt information. Your vehicle is equipped on the passenger side with SRS, which is a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. Underneath that compartment, this is a component compartment for electronics. Your passenger seat is also equipped with a SCBA mount. Just to the bottom of that seat, you can see that there is a warning label with the candy cane stripe indicating that there is electrical wires behind that. Let's move up onto the dash of the passenger side. This is going to be a reading or map light, in addition with the candy cane style warning labels for wires behind that. Mounted in the very center of the console, you can see a variety of different switches, but these are the switches for your mechanical siren and also your siren brake. At the very bottom in black, this is your David Clark push to talk button. On the left hand side, on your center console, you'll find two round style 12 volt charging systems, and to the right, a USB style. Moving forward of that, this is your vehicle data recorder port. Let's go ahead and look overhead. You can see you've got a focused spotlight for mapbook or reading. Just above that, this is the go light with the switch on the right, red indicator that it's on, and the control on the left. Moving just to the left of the go light, this is a panel of switches that have some features in addition with your front basket and passenger side flood. This is going to be your all-weather radio in addition with a CD player and also MP3. Generalized view of your apparatus from the front passenger side. Congratulations, Redmond Fire, on your new apparatus, job number 29280. If you have any questions regarding this video or the content, please direct them to your sales associate for Hughes Fire Equipment. Thank you and congratulations.